Dear Mr. A&R, we all struggling artists. Realize the world is cold, but we came here to spark it. Swimming little guppies in a sea full of sharks. It's gonna take a miracle to not end up hard.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Six with Ian and Thomas.
Hello.
As you can tell, our setup's a little bit different. I am back in Wilmington, so this is probably going to be our usual setup from this point forward.
Some tweakage here and there. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out as we go along. The editing should be a little bit different, but it should still be the same quality. Nothing else should really change. But this should be covering weeks 3 and 4 of the Premier League, and obviously we'll talk a little bit around the world. But the first thing that I want to start off with is Watford.
Watford came to play.
They absolutely did. Let's see, I think they're 12 points out of 12. Yeah,
They are.
They're
going into the international break. They're perfect.
They're 4-0-0. And you know, it's not like, you know, they're playing. I mean, they played Tottenham in their most recent game for week 4, and Watford scored 3 goals, but the result ended up being 2-1. They did score an own goal, and you know, stuff like that happens. But I mean, they have shown up this season fighting for, you know, top place football.
Yeah, tenacious, man. I mean, it's not just, you know, we've you know, the last couple of seasons Watford's been in the league. You know, you see them being kind of scrappy and things like that, and winning enough to stay in the league. But this time, I mean, they're playing. They've got a new manager, and I think he's putting together some good football for them. And I think they're all buying into it, and they're enjoying themselves. You know, and they're scoring goals on teams like Tottenham.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so yeah, it's like you said, they're not playing just, you know, the bottom teams. They beat Tottenham. They didn't win against Tottenham. They beat Tottenham.
It was absolutely their game.
Yeah.
You know, Tottenham either didn't show up, they were too cocky, or Watford was just a better team.
I think it was a mixture of those three.
I think so as well. But it was a fantastic game.
It was great to watch.
Yeah, we were in a restaurant, and they were playing, and there was a bunch of Tottenham fans sitting there. And I remember Ian and I were just talking like, that's funny. And then Watford scored their second goal, and we're like, that's even more funny.
And then the Tottenham fans who were there enjoying their lunch just left.
They did.
They didn't trickle out. They vanished. Anyway, but it was really exciting to watch Tottenham, you know, play. They're doing well, and I hope that continues for them, because it makes the league even that much more interesting. You know, because I mean, they're in 3rd place right now, behind Liverpool and Chelsea, only on goal differential. That's your top 3 for the league right now. It's Liverpool, Chelsea, Watford, and the goal differential is 8-7-6.
It's close.
So, you know, Watford is where they are because they've earned it. You know, it's not just, it's still a pretty, you know, embryonic league right now. It's still very new.
Yeah, I mean, it's week 4.
But that's 12 points, and Watford has all 12. Mm-hmm. You know, they've not dropped any points. And that's exciting, you know. So
it's just one of those things, you know, every year there's a breakout team that kind of shows up out of nowhere and surprises everybody.
Yeah.
And you know, 2 years ago or 3 years ago it was Leicester.
Yeah.
You know, last year it was Burnley, came out of nowhere. You know, got into European football. Unfortunately, they were knocked out of that fairly recently. But I think that gives them a little bit more time to focus on EPL and do well again this season. They haven't been so far. We'll discuss that a little later.
We'll see.
But I think Watford. I'm hoping Watford can be the breakout team of the season.
It would just be cool, you know. I mean, it's kind of neat. You know, I watched the match the other day, and of course, you know, Sir Elton John's in the stands. You know, apparently he's a chairman or, you know, the majority owner or something. I mean, the stand is named after him, and they've got some of his song lyrics, you know, even, you know, on the walls around the stadium. But he was visibly excited. Mm-hmm. He was, you know, extremely enthusiastic about the win. And it was cool, you know. I mean, it's fun to watch, you know, these, you know, quote unquote breakout teams. You know, a couple of years ago, like you mentioned, Leicester, you know, fought a relegation battle and then the very next season won the league. And have been kind of battling since then. But last year Burnley showed up with a spot in European football. Really cool. I mean, you got pubs around town changing their name because Burnley made it into European football. And I wonder if she's going to keep her pub changed to name the Sean Dyche.
The Royal
the Royal Dyche, yeah. Or if she changes it back to the Golden Goose or whatever it was, I don't remember. But now maybe it's Watford's turn to really shine a little bit and put some pressure on some of these bigger teams, who are spending hundreds of millions of dollars in transfer windows, and then giving up points to Watford.
Yeah.
So and the same side of that coin, Tottenham really didn't spend a whole lot of money in the transfer window.
Not this one, at least.
Yeah, but they have.
They have world class players.
Yeah.
I mean, Harry Kane is considered one of the best strikers in the world, and I agree. Lucas Moura has been a breakout star.
Right.
Dele Alli has broken out. Christian Eriksen. Hugo Lloris is a fantastic goalkeeper, although he did not play. Apparently he was out with a thigh
injury.
I didn't hear about that, but I think he'll be back. I think it's mid-October, so he'll be out in a couple weeks.
And depending on how his court dates go, he may be out longer than that.
That's true. He did get a DUI while driving, so we'll have to see what happens there. Moving up the table, the team that I'm excited about because I'm a fan of them, Chelsea, is also 4 out of 4. So they have picked up all 12 points this season, and that makes me very happy. They haven't been spectacular wins, but whatever Maurizio Sarri's doing with his Sarri ball is working.
That still makes me laugh.
It's funny, but it's working.
It's working. Yeah, they're playing Chelsea ball now. They're performing like people expect to see Chelsea perform.
Mm-hmm.
They expect to see wins. They expect to see the fancy footwork and the spectacular stuff going on the pitch and into the net. And it's last season it was kind of hard to watch Chelsea. To watch them struggle. I'm not a Chelsea supporter, but at the same time I know that they're a top level team, and they should be performing better. And it's disappointing to watch them not perform. And then now, with Maurizio Sarri, and his Sarri ball, turning things around. And I like that, because, that means that, one, the things that we talked about all last season with the trouble that Chelsea was having, we were right. And
yeah.
and now, they're back where they should be, where they're expected to be.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's where I want them to be because they are the team that they are. They're a world class team. I want to see them perform world class.
And like you said, I think it all boils down to what was going on last season. I think Antonio Conte just was losing the players.
Yeah.
And Maurizio Sarri has come in and regained all of their trust back, except for Thibaut Courtois. He can die. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
No, Thibaut Courtois is still one of my favorite goalkeepers.
And he's still one of the best.
Oh, absolutely.
Without a doubt.
But I think Maurizio Sarri has come in and given them hope that, look, we still have Europa League. We're still in top flight football. Right. Everything's going to be fine. We are still Chelsea FC.
Right.
And I think that's working.
That's good. And of course, put David Luiz back on the pitch too.
Yeah, that too. I'm very happy about that. Antonio Conte. Actually, David Luiz came out and said if Antonio Conte was still the manager, he would not be at Chelsea Football Club anymore. He would have left. So I'm very happy to see that he's still playing and he's now got his starting position back.
Yeah. He's one of my favorite defenders.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's not afraid to get forward. He's a solid defender. And he's not afraid to get forward. He's not afraid to take a set piece. And he's not afraid to put a header in. He scores goals. He stops goals. He's just the thing that I like the most about him is you can tell he's always enjoying himself. He's not out there giggling and goofing off and everything, but you can tell that this guy is enjoying what he does for a living. And I'm happy for him for that. I like to watch him enjoy himself, and apparently he's kind of a goofball, on the training ground, and and I think that translates well to his playing style. He's enjoying himself. He understands, that he's a pretty fortunate dude to be getting paid millions of dollars to play soccer. So yeah, he's one of my favorites. Again, not a Chelsea supporter, but I like some of the players they have. They've got good players, and it's good football to watch. So,
moving one more step up the table, Liverpool goal differential for now until Chelsea takes number one. They had their first scare this week.
They've had more than one.
They had their first legitimate scare this week.
Yeah.
Allison made a mistake. And I can't say we didn't see it coming.
Yeah, it was a pretty costly mistake. Jurgen Klopp even mentioned it a couple weeks ago, and we were going to talk about it in our last week's episode, but the scheduling conflicts we couldn't get them resolved in time. But Jurgen Klopp made the comment that he's kind of frustrated with Allison because he likes to play with the ball at his feet too much. And week 3 got away with it with a little cheeky move, and it was kind of cool. Made the headlines. And it made the show reels and everything. Everybody keeps seeing it. With the Premier League review and all that stuff. And it was a pretty slick move.
Yeah.
And of course it made Liverpool fans extremely happy to see a goalkeeper with the confidence to do that, because we haven't had that in a while as Liverpool supporters. With Simon Mignolet and then Lars Karius, but now we've got one who's got that. But this last week, it cost him his clean sheet, straight up. There's no doubt about it. It was a huge error. He took it in stride. It was still came up with a win for Liverpool to keep them, top of the table, but. It cost them, a clean sheet, and it was a pretty big scare. That's kind of a, hey, now we found the chink in the armor. Hopefully Jurgen Klopp can, motivate him more than just, saying things, in press conferences and whatnot, and say, hey, listen, we gotta, start working things a little bit differently.
And apparently, after, like the next day at training, he went up to Allison and said, look, you understand what happened? It was the best game to do it in because we still got the win. Hopefully you learned your lesson. He also came out publicly at the press conference after the first time that he did his little flair thing and said, I have to get used to a Brazilian keeper. Which I guess is true. Brazilians are known for their flair. And Allison is Brazilian. You got to be careful with that kind of stuff. Usually the best bet is to just get rid of it.
Just get rid of it.
But Manuel Neuer is known for some of his footwork.
Yeah.
There are keepers who are fantastic with their feet because 90% of the time they're playing with their feet. They have to be able to be good with it. I will say I think part of the blame for the goal was on Virgil van Dijk, because it was it wasn't a very good back pass.
It wasn't the best back pass.
But Loris Karius, or not Loris Karius, Allison still should have just cleared it with the first touch.
Sure.
So I think we'll move down the table a little bit and start with we'll go with Everton.
Everton.
They're doing okay. They've dropped half the points. They've dropped 6 out of 12. But they're still in 7th place right now.
And they've got a +1 goal differential, so they're positive on goals. They're not playing Everton ball though. With the money that they've spent in the last window or two, bringing in players, with Jordan Pickford last season and Romelu Lukaku, and it's he's gone. Never mind.
Yeah, Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah, he went to United.
Everton.
Yeah, he went to United. Sorry, I was thinking. Anyway, but they brought in players. Help me out here.
They brought in Theo Walcott.
Yes.
That's probably one of their biggest names.
That's who I was trying to
see. I believe they have Carlson, who's doing
and they brought in Richarlison
relatively well.
Yeah. I think he's got a little bit more chance to shine at Everton. I think it's closer to his style of football than it was at Watford. But again, it's not Everton style football. I mean, not Everton style. It's just it's not Everton class football. Everton is one of those teams that you kind of expect to be fighting for top 5, fighting for top 3, pushing for the league. Mm-hmm. And of course it's still very early. I mean, we're going into the first international break and then to match day 5. But they've dropped half their points and they're only a +1 goal differential. Yeah. And with a goalkeeper like Jordan Pickford, I think they should be doing better. I think with the lineup that they have, they should be doing better. Mm-hmm. Something's just not right. I think a lot of it is they've had some manager changes. Mm-hmm. Off-season manager changes are one thing. Mid-season manager changes are a whole different animal. And I think it shakes things up a little bit, and it takes time to kind of right that ship again. And I hope that's where they're at. I'm a Liverpool supporter, and I know that hurts the feelings of my good friend Cody Arnaud, who was our hometown hero for the Hammerheads, but he was also at one time an Everton player, and it hurts his feelings to know that I'm a Liverpool supporter, not an Everton supporter, but. At the same time, Everton, I want to see them do well. They're a fixture in the league, and right now something's going on. I hope they fix it. Mm-hmm. I hope they fix it. And we'll see. It's still very early in the season. We've got 34 matches left to play. So there's still a boatload of points up for grabs. I just hope they don't keep dropping half the points throughout the season, because that would be disastrous.
Yeah. For them. Moving down a couple spots, Arsenal got their first win under Unai Emery at the Emirates. They have not been performing too well under Unai Emery.
They're in the same boat Everton's in.
Yeah, they're not performing as well as many are expecting, but I will say they've had some tough games to start off with.
That's true. That's true. They lost 2-0 to City in the first week, and then very next week, it was a 3-2 draw, 3-2 loss to Chelsea. So I mean, it's 2 tough games to start off with, yeah. And then they've got 2 wins in a row: 3-1 against West Ham and 3-2 to Cardiff. Obviously, lower table teams for right now, but still important wins. To get back up, get their confidence back up. And keep moving forward. I think Unai Emery is going to get them on the right path after 21 years with the same manager. Yeah. Things are going to be shaken up a bit. Yeah. It's not going to be exactly the same it was. And I think Arsenal fans are kind of realizing that. I hope they are. Arsenal fans are very fickle. And that's that's one of the things we mentioned last season. Coming toward the end of the season, when Arsene Wenger decided he was going to step down. Holy crap! That's a long time for one guy to be at the helm, and then just step down. And we knew, you and I talked about it on the show that it was going to be a pretty big shakeup. Yeah. Especially for the guys who've been there for more than a couple seasons, and you got the new guys coming in, Aubameyang and things like that. It's not going to be as big of a hiccup for them, but some of the other guys who've been there for a while, Mesut Ozil, and those guys. It's going to be a pretty big hiccup for them. That's a pretty sizable, obstacle to navigate. And I think they're going to do okay. Mm-hmm. Let them work out some more of the kinks and see where they go. Because
Unai Emery is very intelligent. He's coached PSG. I think is where he's coming from. So he's a world-class manager. He knows what he's doing. He's just got to get his team into the right spot first. That takes time. It doesn't take an off season to get a team like Arsenal back to where they need to be. Right. I think they're on the right track now. They've scored quite a few goals.
Yeah, they're 8-8. They're even.
But 8 goals in 4 games is decent. Yeah. So moving forward, I think Arsenal's going to be just
I think
fine.
they're going to be all right.
Moving down one spot on the table, Manchester United. Got one question for you. Does Jose Mourinho need to leave?
In order for Manchester United to do better, yes.
I agree. Because I think he's doing the exact same thing that happened at Chelsea, is he's losing the locker room.
I agree.
He kept them a little bit longer. I think he was starting to lose it at the end of last season as well. But the beginning of this season has not been very kind to them. They have dropped 2.
They've only got 6 out of 12 too, so they've dropped half their points, and they're minus on their goal differential. They're -1. Jose Mourinho, I think, has a very good football brain. I think he's a player, so he knows the game, and I think he knows, the tactics and things like that. My concern with Jose Mourinho is my opinion of him, obviously never met the man, never, interacted with him one-on-one, or never been a player under his control, is he's very negative. And I think when you're more negative than positive, especially towards your players, that spills over, eventually it kind of seeps into the boot room, and then eventually onto the pitch. And I think that's what's going on right now. I mean, you've got a guy, and I'm going to use Paul Pogba as an example. Last season, Paul Pogba was arguably one of the most underrated players in the league.
Yes.
Some people will say no way, but I mean he was. I mean he's a phenomenal player. You don't get to be, Paul Pogba by, being a slouch.
And he knows it. I mean,
sure.
With the flair that he presents himself with, he knows he's a world-class footballer.
But and he didn't have the best season with United last season. Came into the World Cup and had a phenomenal World Cup. So we got to see Paul Pogba at his peak.
Yes.
And then, the Premier League season started, and we saw Paul Pogba back to where he was in the last Premier League season. Not at his peak. It's not the player. It can't be all just the tactics. It's got to be something else. And the only thing I have that I can even possibly try to attribute, again, not having any interaction one-on-one with these people, personally, is it's got to be the coaching. It can't be just backroom staff, So, it's got to come from the manager down. And one of the things I never liked about Jose Mourinho is he never stays on the pitch with his players. Halftime, still got 3 minutes left, and he's walking down the tunnel already. I think that's garbage.
Yeah.
And then, he's always the last one to come out of the tunnel. He's always the first one in the tunnel. He's always the last one to come out of the tunnel. That, to me, says I'm more important than you. Just do what I say, not as, if I was a player, and I'm nowhere near a world-class player. I'm a player, but I'm nowhere near a world-class player. If I was one of these players, and my coach was like that, I wouldn't want to play for him either.
And I think that's the problem. I think he's lost the locker room, and it's showing.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. If Manchester United is to be successful, they need a new manager.
Yeah. Soon.
One last team, real quick, before we move on to the next phase of the episode. Wolverhampton.
Awesome.
Absolutely, they have
very fun to watch.
Come to perform just like Watford have. Not as well as Watford. They've dropped points.
No.
But they're playing. Their first league back after a few years. They obviously had a fantastic season last year.
Yeah.
I think they're proving why they deserve back in the league.
Absolutely.
So I'm very excited to continue watching them throughout the season and to see what they do.
Yeah. I watched their match the other day, and it was very entertaining. It was good football. They've dropped some points, but give them time. Let them settle into the league a little bit. Back in the top flight, and see what happens. But I'm really interested to see what they can do, what they can pull off.
Mm-hmm. Champions League draw was drawn. I will see if I can get a big picture and put that on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. Show everybody. But we've got some good groups here. I think right now the group of death for me is a group B. Barca, Inter, PSV Eindhoven, and Tottenham. It's going to be a very tough group. I'm excited for this year's Champions League. Not as excited as I was last year because Chelsea's not in it, but I think it's gonna be a good year. I guess this year I'll be rooting for Barca. I guess that's my second team. But we'll see what happens. And to kind of finish things off, we've got this new tournament. It's a UEFA tournament called the Nations League. And it seems very promising. It starts Thursday the 6th of September. So the day after this is posted, it should be started. And the first game is Kazakhstan versus Georgia. And what it seems like is there are a lot of just a bunch of European teams who have been drawn into basically like a Champions League for international teams. Is really the only way.
Which is going to be cool.
Yeah, it's more football.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited because of more footy.
More games to be played, and it brought in a new international break for these players. I'm excited for a game. It's Germany versus France. It'll be the first time Germany's played after their disappointing World Cup against the World Cup champions.
It's gonna be a good game.
It's gonna be a fantastic game.
It should be a pretty good tournament. So I mean, it's going to be on ESPN, ESPN 2, and Univision. Univision.
It looks like only a few of the games are televised, but
see if you can find some of them. Check them out. If we get some details, obviously we're going to share those with you. We'll make that part of the repertoire here at Inside the Six.
Mm-hmm.
We want to bring you as much as we can about European football and international football, things like that, because we enjoy it and we like sharing it with you. So we'll find out that stuff as we can. And, of course, check out FOTMob, too, man.
Mm-hmm.
Again, we mentioned before, they don't sponsor us at all. We just happen to use it.
If you're looking to sponsor us.
Yeah, if you want to sponsor us,
email us.
Email.
You should be able to find out in our YouTube stuff. And just give us a shout out. I think that's it for the episode.
Yeah.
If you want to take us out.
So just thanks for tuning in again. This is Ian and Thomas from Inside the Six. Big shout out to our really good friend Macrophonic MC, who lets us use his music for the intro and the outro. Thanks to Thomas, does the editing and the production. I just sit here and basically follow his lead on the conversation and give my input. That's really what I do. So check out the T-shirt shop. Links are there. Sticker shop. This particular logo is the Inside the Six pink ribbon logo. You can find that on the sticker shop and the T-shirt shop. The proceeds for that will go to breast cancer research. Breast cancer has personally affected Thomas and myself here at home. And my wife is battling breast cancer, and we want to see if we can help other women so they don't have to go through this. It's crap. So F cancer. But anyway, check those out. We appreciate the support. If you guys have comments, put those in the comment section below. Be nice, and tell us what you want to see. Tell us what you don't want to see anymore. What can we do better? What are we doing right? We want to know those things. Check out the Twitter. Check out the Instagram, the Facebook page. Thomas does almost all of that too.
Just real quick, I think I put it on social media already, but we are kind of shifting our upload schedule a little bit because of scheduling and because we want to get you the news as fast as we can. So we will be uploading on Wednesdays from now on. Because usually the week ends on Mondays, so we can get you, we have time to watch all the games, analyze what we can, and get you the news as fast as we can.
Get it to you fresh.
Yeah. Instead of waiting till the end of the week when the next week is already starting before we upload. It speeds up the process for you to get the content to your eyes as fast as you can. And that's what we want. So But I think that's it.
I think that's it. Thanks, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, guys.
Dear Mr. A&R, we all struggling artists. Realize the world is cold, but we came here to spark it. Swimming little guppies in a sea full of sharks. It's gonna take a miracle to not end up hard.